Good evening, everybody. Hope you guys are doing awesome. Welcome back to more race commentary. Once again, we're back again. Race commentary for season 4 is underway, and it's been a long absence. It's been some time since I've done some commentary, so hopefully I can still get some of those grooves back from the last commentary. Not that it wasn't any good really, but at least it's something there for us to work on. It's the first time I'm doing race commentary in ages, a little bit rusty. But without further ado, let's jump into the race. There's so much to talk about season 4. I'll talk about that as the race goes on. But this is the first race for season. This is pool 7, and we'll talk all about it as the race unfolds. So let's take a look at the start of the race over here. I'm just going to change a little bit of the timing options over here before we get underway. Make sure that race info is all up in display, so we can talk about all of these as we go on the way. I'm going to start off with the race leader. That is Mr. Ghost Killer himself. He pulls away from the start. It was a standing start with those false start checks. And we've got Mr. Ghost Killer over here, making sure he keeps that Nissan up front in the first as we come around the first turn, slowly followed by DC Gaming. He's managed to get a good qualifying time in that Mercedes. Most of the guys in these category decided to go with Mercedes in the GR1 cars. We'll just take a look at Googly also making way around. Assault Sheep, I think he's going with a Porsche in this one. I still have to make sure I get the names of these GR1 cars correct, but as you can see, the pack slowly starting to shape away as the golfing class between the Group 1 cars and Group 3s that later follows takes it underway. Let's take a look at Mr. Ghost Killer as he puts up that 49 in that first sector. Slight gap already pulling up between him and the following races. DC Gaming and the Mercedes. Nice little livery. I think he does have a custom livery on tonight. Yes, ATM Racing Tuning. You can see on the side it's make their way around turn number 6. Googly followed short behind. What is those fellow racers with me back in season 3 days? So always good to see Googly. Making sure he gets his coordinating right as we come out to the last turn in lap number 1. It's already over. Jeez, that was a quick one. It's GR14's cars really showing us how to put that speed up in those lap times, and not really much change in the shape of the positioning between the front runners and those GR1 cars. We still got Assault Sheep in 4th, Googly in 3rd, DC in 1st, and Ghost Killer I wouldn't say comfortably in 1st at this stage, but definitely showing that he's got that eye in with his car prior coming to the race. And just a little light tap on the brake there as he comes around corner number 4 into this very winding wind in and wind out little corner. So yeah, sometimes the cars drive quite fast. I've also got to make sure I keep my commentary up to date as I don't fall too far behind. But again, Ghost Killer showing us some neat cornering in this first lap, and not really much mistakes as he comes into this long braking zone here. You've got to make sure that you get onto that brake early. You can really run wide if you don't get that braking right. Can't really throw up your lap times. It just slows you out in the second corner. So excellent time, Ghost Killer. DC Gaming slowly putting a little bit of pack. Nothing too significant away from Googly here, but there is definitely pack slowly forming between the GR1 drivers, and we'll have to revisit these guys again. Let's make our way back into the Group 3 drivers now. Just to give you guys a little bit of the format of the race before we continue, is season 4 decided to take a bit of a manufacturer approach to what we've seen from previous seasons. That is, you had to make sure you choose one manufacturer for the entire season. You were divided in groups of 3. You could choose your own groups, your own teams, and you had to make sure that you stick with that manufacturer throughout the entire season. Now, the format for the teams, they made sure that you had 3 race drivers or 3 drivers in your team. One of the drivers had to make sure they drive in the GR1 cars for that manufacturer, and the rest of the guys had to settle with the GR3s. So it's going to be interesting to see how the strategies race manufacturers group the course tracks, and obviously the car's benefits and strengths and weaknesses comes together for total times. And looking forward to how this season unfolds as we take a look at Ibn Nuria leading the Group 3 race drivers, followed very closely by Gotcha Ass, Savvy Gotcha Ass, always tend to get that name slightly wrong, but I just normally call him Savvy from season 3. So sticking really close to the Mercedes driver here. I think one of the unique manufacturers in this particular one is, I know the Mercedes, and if you look into other pools, was definitely one of the more standout selections. Savvy takes an excellent inside line there between Ibn Noor. Probably missed that one out there. Probably lost a little bit of concentration. I'm not sure exactly what the setup of every single driver is. I know I struggled immensely on this course. It's been the first time I've driven Gran Turismo in probably 2 months. Not that I'm using that as an excuse or anything, but can take takes a while before you get back into the groove again. So interesting to hear what the setup for the drivers. I know I had to use 2 TCS times 2. Just because the FR Nissan was just spurting all over the place, but I'm sure these guys have going back to the TCS off and most of the assists off as they drive. Let's take a look at we see Savvy and Ibn Noor coming into the first corner out of lap 4. We are at this stage roughly about 5 minutes into the race. It was a 40-minute endurance race, so enough time for you to catch up. Savvy making sure he keeps that lead ahead of Ibn Noor as we come into that third corner. Now let's put our sets on Meyer Maiden. Now Meyer Maiden, first time I've actually seen him in any race of any sort, but I did do a little bit of digging over last season's format, and Mr. Maiden, I'm gonna get this name completely horribly wrong, so please forgive me if I do that. But Mr. Maiden was he partook in season 3. I think he's only managed to do about 4 of the 8 races. Always found himself in the lower pools because of non-participation. But as you can see, very excellent driver. Not much space, not much time between him, not much of a battle between him and the driver behind him. So. Interesting to see what Maiden would have done had he been in season 3, but he's catching slowly up with the guys ahead of him now. Ibn Noor dropping a little bit off here, struggling with that last corner. Not something you don't see that often. It's something that's actually come up repeatedly. As you can see, Charlie also sliding a bit out there. Now Bad Skull also with sporting that yellow livery also comes around 9th position out of the corner, followed closely by Stangeril. Let's take a look at these two as they make their way into the last straight. He picks up a 142, which is probably in and around the goings time for this track. Pascal decides to go on the outside, on the inside here, off on the slipstream. Does manage to take it. Gives the thank you lights on his way out. Not sure if that was a mistake. But he just gives a little bit of touch for Pascal. Can't put your lights on too early in this race, man. You just gotta watch out. Pascal takes that position back. Excellent take though. A little bit of a nick here. Skull strange wheel, not afraid to get a little bit of feisty there. He managed to get a touch before coming into this winding turn over there. Goes a little bit wide in that one there. And at this stage, I picked up 2 penalties in the first 2 laps and enjoyed a little bit of the clean air in front of me as I ride it out in 11th position. Last in the race at this stage. Had to crank my TCS up to 2 here. Slightly revoking my man card for the evening. I just couldn't find a comfortable gear for this race, and you can see I'm terribly wide there, and just shows you exactly why I am in 11th position, or let me say last position between the 11 drivers. Really struggled with this Nissan, honestly, but we'll see how I get back into the race as the race unfolds. Now Ghost Killer, yeah, this is my teammate. I did talk about the team setup for the manufacturers. Ghost Killer, myself, and Charlie Koo will visit shortly. We were in the same race, and must say, made an excellent choice by getting Ghost Climax on my team. Not that I had much say about, not that I had much say in any case, but Mr. Climax really showing why he's in that GR1 drivers. We tried to make sure we get the fastest guy in that GR1. You can see quite a bit of a gap pulled up, and something happened in the race earlier. Salt Sheep now sitting in 2nd position with that Porsche as he become around corner number 9. Now DC also managed to drop down here slightly. Want to see if he can make that position up there. Missed a bit of action in the first part of the race. Sorry about it, guys. But Googly here in third position, coming around a full 6 laps. You can see the racing mediums is on here for Googly at this stage. Still got enough full to carry him, and I'm probably going to see him pit sometime from now. It's a 40-minute endurance race, and yeah, we still got about 30 minutes to go here. So in terms of tire management, we're probably going to see these guys keep it out here for at least another 3 to 4 laps. DC Gaming picks up a penalty there as well. Googly runs a bit into the dust here, and you can see the tyre wear definitely start to take their toll on the divers. DC getting probably a couple of seconds closer and also spins his wheels out at the bottom. He did complain a bit about this Mercedes around these sharper corners. It's a very technical tack, something you've got to be very careful for when diving. Now slowly catching up with Assault Sheep here. Googly, its gap isn't really that big, far behind here. An excellent diving here from DC also to make sure he gets that penalty down to the split seconds, 14ths of a second here at this point in time. He's got to make sure he makes slow down, and you still see the perfect drive of Mr. Ghost Climb. He's consistently with the 129s. Tire wear just taking a little bit of effect, pushing into the early 130s. And he's starting to make his laps around the guys at the bottom of the pack. We'll revisit that again. Assault Sheep coming in here also on the racing mediums here, and he puts up a 131. You can see 132 by Googly, slightly slower, and DC Gaming started out quite strong from lap number 2 and then had a bit of a struggle here and there, but we'll take a look at those battles. Definitely gap shortening between these 3 drivers here, and I'm sure Assault Sheep would probably tell us that as the race was going on with this mediums, has been sort of finding it a little bit difficult, but again, a lot more consistency from Assault Sheep than most of the other guys behind him. So definitely managed to find his eye with the car after in and around this particular set of the race with the tyre wear going in. So let's take a look as he comes into the hard braking sector. Got to make sure you get this one right. This one I completely stuffed up more than once in the race. Takes that one excellently. Googly comes around as well, closely followed by DC. Excellent driving from him. Just want to take my hats off for DC for making that time up with that penalty. As we come into the little bit of the wind here into corner number 7 and sorry, I think it's corner number 4 and 5. This one over here is number 7 and 8, and the final corner number 9. DC really doesn't like this corner over here, but let's see how he takes this one. Comes on the inside line and make sure he takes Googly out there. I wonder what happened with Googly in that race. Make sure he gets that straight line speed coming out of the corner, and he's looking to go into the pits there. Not much more he could really do that. Easy gone into the pits. No, he hasn't. So he's just sort of, I think he tailed it wide there just to break the toe. Very good battle happening between him and DC at this time. Comes into turn 1 for lap 9. Let's see if DC can take him on the inside line. Decides to go there. Slips a bit. Not the first time we've seen that from DC. Really talked about he's struggling with the car. I'm not sure if it's a front wheel or sorry, a rear wheel with a mid-engine drive. So could tell us. Definitely make sure I do my research about that after the race. Yeah, definitely. Even with those little bit of slips, don't really find himself too far behind the rest of the pack, or keeping that pack between the 2nd to 3rd position really tight with one another. Let's break away a little bit away from the Group 1 cars, and we come down to Savvy, 5th position. Really sets himself a bit of a gap now. Ibn Noor completely fell into the picture at this stage. Myman keeping it consistent. He's on the 140s. Excellent diving there, considering my times was around 142 here. It just shows the pace that these Group 3 divers have, as we see Savvy with that Porsche. Let's take a look at things from his point of view for race for the first turn. Keeps it tight, make sure he breaks down early and gets a little bit of that apex. Runs slightly wide. You can hear the wheels crunching here as we find ourselves with that racing mediums almost close to halfway in this race. I'm sure there's a pit happening soon. We're on lap number 10 with 13 minutes in the race. Let's see if we can see anything from my man, and just got to make sure that he caps that brakes there before he comes in. Oh, and finds himself overtaken by Close Climax as the GR1's boys finds their way through the leaders on the G3 track here. Let's just see how he takes this little corner, goes in slightly inside. Got to make sure you hit this accelerator as smoothly as possible so you don't get that wheel spin if you're on the lower T fractions. And I think the Mercedes has got quite a nice way of handling these turns. It's always a nice car to drive, you know, especially if you're coming back from a long off season. Very smooth driving here by my, and it makes you wonder why he's missed out in season 3 at all. Does look like he enjoys his driving here, so not too bad cornering. It makes you wonder if this hood view is something you should actually go for when you're doing your race driving. It does look very sexy from this angle. Let's see what he can do with Savvy as we come into the corner number 9 for lap number 9 on the GR3 cars, and let's make a little bit of pace away from my I find my view button. Further back we've got Ibn Noob now. He's on probably picked up 1 or 2 mistakes. Sees him coming to the pits here in lap number 9. That medium's really finding their way in there as he knocks the little old bumper. Charlie Koo decides to go out for one more. Let's stick a bit with Charlie, my teammate. Having a bit of battle with Strange Wheel at this time. Now take a look at mediums. Now I know the Nissan GTR, to make sure I get the name for this car right. Charlie's slowing tremendously down there. I'm not sure exactly what happened now. Strange Wheel went deep into that corner and Charlie could make sure he gets him in the lane cut. Still got that hazards on there. It's the indicator. No, it's hazards here. Mercedes drivers. Gotta love them. Now Strange goes wide again in that corner as Charlie makes sure he just keeps those consistency between those driving lines or the racing line. Strange, you can see sort of tapping that steering wheel as it comes out into corner number 4 and 5 as we approach it very closely now. Now Charlie's still keeping making sure he keeps that distance, keeps his cool, even though Strange has sort of dipped his nose in and around Charlie during this little battle in lap number 10. Now they're both on well, actually we've got Strange on the racing hard here. It's a bit more fuel than Charlie at this stage. Sorry for the camera hopping. I'm not sure if Charlie's going to decide to go into the pits here. Strange takes the inside line here as we come out of corner number 6, and we can see corner number 7 now. If there's going to be any corner number 8, sorry, as we see if there's going to be any kind of battle here. Strange still falling slightly behind here now, comes wide into this corner number 9, which is something you've got to make sure you do in order to get that exit speed on this final straight of the lap. And Charlie definitely managed to come out on top of that race. Nice little battle for my teammate, and as he decides to go into the pits. The racing mediums are definitely going to see you come in lap number 9. Now Strange is still on the hards of the stand, and it does have slightly less full than most of the guys, so we'll take a look where Strange comes, and Charlie and Strange comes out in the pits after that. Now Savvy and my Maiden comes out there. Let's take a look at these guys. Savvy's on the hard here at this point. I'm not sure if he went on the hards thinking that it is a racing requirement, or he just decided to maybe keep on that hards, considering that he's about just a bit more than halfway of the race left, and thinking that mediums did sort of cut him a bit short, you know, in that first pit sector on the 17th minute. So probably thinking that the hards will probably keep him for the rest of the race. Now he comes behind Strange Wheel, who still has to go into that pit. Just shows you the pace that Savvy's got. And my Maiden, the missing man from season 3, just shows you how close he is. Also goes on the mediums at this time. I think he went for a medium. Slowly comes out. Savvy taking Strange here. Let's see if Maiden can do something similar as we come out of corner number 6 in race 10 in the Fuji Speedway. Not one of my favorite tracks, to be honest. Very rarely managed to beat these tracks on the daily races. I know some of the you know, the GTSport sort of races, you'll find this there quite prominent actually, but when you come to those FIA races or even the daily races, you don't often see them. Strange decides to fight slightly back here, and he goes out again with the racing horse, side by side with my Maiden. I'm not sure if they're teammates here, but my Maiden picks up a little bit pace. Let's see if Strange or Maiden is going to go a little bit late on the brakes, and we'll see if there is any kind of defense here. Let's take a look at these two. Strange not keeping up in a fight. He comes on the inside line there. Maiden gets a little bit of a touch, and that takes Savvy slightly wide. I'm not sure if he's going to be very happy about that. We'll see if he can catch it into the slipstream. Tries to pin a little bit wide, make sure he gets that corner early on the brake. Little bit of acceleration, takes it out there as he comes to the corner. Excellent diving from the two, and Maiden still stays on top with that more fresher tyre. It's not much you're going to be able to do then in that situation stage, but excellent battle though between the guys, and Maiden still making sure he stays close to Savvy even with that disruption. Excellent diving from the Season 3 man, who hopefully we'll see for most of Season 4. Now Strange is still out there. Let's make our further way back into the pack. Ibn Noor now. I think he also into the pits also decided to go with a very similar strategy to Savvy. Make sure he goes onto those hards with understanding that medium's probably sold him a bit short in that first stint. Dropping further back, we've got Charlie, who's also put in the hards at this point. But the looks of it, looks like Charlie's also got that TCS on there. I can see that in the bottom right corner of the screen, and there's just absolutely no way, for me at least, I could drive this Nissan without that TCS. Let's take a little bit of look at my teammate, who before the race had a little bit of questions around the balance of power for the cars. It was a very strange one, not those normal bops that you find from the default Gran Turismo setting. It was definitely a very custom bop, and I'll try and pin that on the screen sometime during the race just to give the viewers a little bit of context as to what I'm talking about. But generally speaking, short version of it was that every single manufacturer car, be it the GR1 or GR3s, had to have a custom balance of power set up, and it was very simple really. Just basic weight increases or decreases, including the performance increases. So yeah, it wasn't too hard to track, but definitely something you can be missing if you hadn't paid attention to the race settings. But let's make our way further back, take a look at myself in that Nissan. Funny enough, I never actually owned the Nissan. I had to make sure that I buy the Nissan before the race, and terrible handling. Just showed you why I never ended up buying it in the first place. But at this point in time, 13 laps in, we've still got about half of the race to go. I did manage to get a little bit of pace, making my way up to 10th position from 11th. Bad Skull here had a little bit of a couple of incidents before this to the end, but did definitely make the race entertaining for me. I tried to, as best as I could, keep a gap between it, but it's so inconsistent in this track. Let's see what I can do when it comes into the hard braking sector. So let's see if I get this one right. Make sure I get my light flickering on there. Comes inside wide and then outside, missing my apex, but making sure I get a clean exit on this straight as we come to the corner number 3. Not the most exciting dive, but yeah, still keeping those lap times up. Dodgy, terrible lap times you can see, and lap number 6 all the way to lap number 9, 146s and 144s. Terrible driving, absolute nightmare of a race. But let's not delve too much into that. Keeping a slight gap between Bad Skulls, also somewhat finds himself struggling in those middle lap sectors from lap number 5 to number 9. Goes into the pit over here. I'm not exactly sure what he's looking to do in the pits over here. Probably got enough fuel, probably got enough wheel left for the rest of the track. Probably something he's not finding comfortable in the car, but let's revisit that again. Let's make way to the front for Ghost Climax. Sorry about that. Ghost Climax, he just before the race started, Climax, myself and Mr. Cool were talking about what that manufacturer pick was going to be. We had a bit of confusion about the format of the competition or season before we started. So there's a little bit of confusion initially in our group chat, but we finally managed to make sense of it by reading and rereading the rules, and decided to go with the Nissan. I think Ghost made the recommendation to us, decided that the Mercedes was going to be the popular pick, and there may be a few more tracks that the Nissan could benefit from, looking at the opposition, and I think we made a very good choice in that regard. Now Ghost Climax already finding him close to Charlie or this was me at this stage. Let's take a look at what we end up doing over here. Comes up to corner number 9. Now this is something that's very convenient when you have your race partner. You can see there's just a little bit of a little bit of that bump drafting going on here. Excellent little helping. I found myself in 9th position at this stage. I think I did manage to time my pits quite well. 17 laps and 24 minutes in, and not too much wear on the mediums. Excellent little push there. Thank you so much, Glust. And yeah, I just managed to pull out of the way and give the big van enough space to put up a decent lap time. Still sliding out of their corner, but excellent drive from Mr. Climax himself. And I've got to say, really haven't known too much about Ghost Climax before the race. Similar with Assault Sheep as well. Don't know much. I'm not sure they're new drivers or if they've just missed out on season 3, but really good drivers nonetheless. Now Assault Sheep is dive on board with the Porsche driver. Let's see where he makes that time. Taps on the brakes, as we've seen most of the recommended courses or track courses would tell you to do here. Just got to make sure you get it lift, and he dips himself into gear number 3, blows into number 2. Got to make sure he's slowly out of the exit. You can see that slight quench in the accelerator. Car definitely obeying his master's commands as we come out into corner number 4. Hard into the braking sector here. Let's see if we can get that apex. Gets a bit of the wheel onto the dust over there, but not too bad. Comes out in these corners, just makes sure he tackles that throttle excellently as we come into corner number 5 and 6. Let's see what he can do in corner number 8 here now. This was always slightly tricky with a dust hanging wide in the corner. Comes inside very cleanly and makes that exit quite well. A little bit of a slip there, but excellent driving it once again. It just shows you the quality of these drivers in this Group 1 car is absolutely excellent. What an onboard shot. And thank you for the good driving, Mr. Sheep. Hope you not assaulting too many sheeps during the making of this video. Now Googly and the DC Gaming, they always just made sure they were close to one another during most of the race. I know DC had a bit of a challenge with corner number 9, but yeah, still putting up very good lap times and still making sure he stays within touching distance. Always gave himself a shot in the race if you can manage to do that consistency. Now for those of you that don't know DC, always active in the chat box section for GTSport SA, and probably one of the guys that if you need any assistance or need anything for GTSport SA, is probably one of the first guys to be able to answer you. Excellent dive also. He's also got a very just very general good knowledge about the game and the racing in real life, and always managed to keep the chat boxes very entertaining. Him, Tooney, and a few others very regular on those chats. Let's see what DC can do in corner number 5 and 6 as he comes into corner. This one's corner number 5 and 6. Apologies, guys. Let's see what he can do in number 8. Normally you want to go wide there and just run slightly in there. I think he looks like he pulled up the handbrake there, maybe. Coming in deep in corner number 9. Let's see if we can control it here. Not much wear on the tire. Decides to go slightly in on that corner. Not a bad dive. Now going down to the GR3 cars, Myron and Savvy got your ass exchanging places here. These two were added all race really. And must say, got to take my hat off for my Myron, because I know Savvy's a top diver. He's always hovering between pole number 4 and 3, 3, 4 and 5 last season in season 3. So Myron might find himself up against a bit of a challenge here with Savvy, but these two going out on a good battle as they come around corner number 9 in lap 17. Still a good chunk of the race to go. He's got to make sure he stays in that slipstream in order to get the best out of the straight. Tough for me to tell you what the balance, what the sort of straight line speeds between these two cars out here, and Myron decides to go for the inside. Ghost Killer's going to throw something in the mix here. He decides to go on the outside, but let's take a look at Myron. He decides to cut back to the inside. Myron goes inside. Let's see if Savvy can take him. No, decides to go wide. Let's see if we can get him in the in cut. Decides to slay in the strip scene as we come out of corner 1. Myron's still making sure he fights back. Ghost Killer gets the space this time. Savvy decides to go slightly deep inside. It's a bit of the dust, but let's see if we can catch him on the outside. Take a look at Maiden again. Goes slightly wide, gets that lift in gear number 3. Savvy stays close to the line. Maiden probably is going to defend slightly and just keep his drive the same way. Savvy's not going to fight this time. Just make sure he stays in the slip as we come out of corner number 4 and number 3 and 4 into the long corner, into corner number 5 now. And this is that early braking zone. You can easily get this one wrong if the concentration isn't there, but mine decided to fend a little bit better. Managed to come outside of that quite nice, and Savvy's going to get a little bit closer now because of that defensive strategy from Myron. This comes on the inside of corner number 5 and 6, and a little bit of harder braking over there. What a battle's going on down here. Myron decides to cut back inside, and I think Savvy decides to just give him a little bit of space now. I thought that was a little bit too aggressive from Savvy. He's still quite a bit of time in the race. Comes out to corner number 9 now. Myron goes wide. Savvy follows shortly, and no real race compromising action that's going down that straight. So excellent driving from the 2. Damn, it was good, some action. And I think Myron came out a bit on top there. He's on the mediums at this stage, slightly more wear than the odds from Savvy, and should still be enough to keep him at a pace. And let's see whose strategy between the two GR5 leaders is going to work in this track. Excellent driving from the 2. Let's visit these 2 a little bit later. Neighbor Nuria started out strong in those first 5 laps and just lost a little bit of his way there, but you can see those consistency from lap number 10 all the way up until 16. Commentator's curse, just as you mentioned, gets a little bit of slip. But I know Ibn is definitely a top driver. Always seen Ibn hovering around pool number 4, 3 during season number 3. So probably got his eye in the car. That is the Mercedes GR3. Probably a little bit later than he'd like to in the race. But you can see those times definitely consistent, and I think you would have probably seen a different Ibn had he managed to put up this level of consistency early on the race. He picks up a plus 167. That's probably an early mistake that he did there. Goes slightly wide into this corner. He gets a little bit of dust as he comes into corner number 4. But number 5 and 6 doesn't look too bad as well. I just really want to know from these drivers what the settings were for this car, because this track for me was an absolute killer. A meh, I would actually say, a nightmare for a drive for me. with the wheel Nissan. But yeah, I like with any car, I guess. Once you get your eye in onto the car, make sure you get enough practice so you can always find yourself being competitive with it. And hopefully these tracks throughout the race that does give the Nissan a little bit of a edge above the others. We'll have to see as the season unfolds. Now Charlie Koo, this point in time, Charlie's still on the hards. I was in the mediums here, and I thought this mediums can carry me for the 8 laps. I didn't have too much of an issue with the tires, especially as my TCA settings was well up in the 2s. But Charlie decided to go in the pits over here, and I know I did look at this and think that this is Charlie's 3rd pit for the evening. Probably topped up a little bit too little than he would have liked to in early in the race. Now being strange at this point, had a little bit of a battle going on here. I think we did have a good race at this point in time, and we'll take a look at this battle goes on. There's slight touch between me and Strange as we go out into corner number 2. Strange pushing me a little bit there, but lightens up on the brakes as we come into that little lift and dip corner. Now we come into the winding turns over here. I've still got to make sure that I didn't run too wide there. Also didn't want to give too much of a slipstream to Strange over here. Strange still keeping very tight as we come into corner number 4 and 5. Well, we'll visit 5 in a bit now, but still coming out of that corner slightly strong. Not too much of a distance between the two of us. Let's take a look from Strange point of view as he keeps really close here. Late on the braking, you can see I've got there. Make sure I dip into that apex and slight understeer there. Comes out to corner number 5 and 6. Still very close. Goes wide on the left side and tries to see if he can get me in the in cut. Runs slightly wide there. Got to make sure that he gets corner number 8 a little bit better in order for him to come on that exit speed. And excellent little driving there, close to as we come on to corner number 9. Let's see if there isn't too much of an understeer here, and gets himself excellently close to me here. Now this is where things is just a mess in this race. I mean, I went into the pits this time because I had too little fuel, and take a look at this. Strange decides to follow me inside. I don't see why he needed to go inside there. I think he probably felt his tires wasn't going to last him to the 5 minutes, but if he decided to go in there purposefully, who knows? It's just such a nice made of a race for me, and I think my race was so bad it managed to rub off into everyone else who decided to drive and follow me. Charlie Crew now, my fellow driver, coming out of that last sector into the pits, out of the pits there, sorry, and still managed to take 2 positions over there. Let's take a look at Ghost Climax, showing everybody how it needs to be done. Slacks off a little bit. Ghost, I'm going to be reporting this to you when it comes to our group chat. Slacks off a bit from lap number 23 with that 32 second. Just got to keep your times low there, young man. But let's take a look. Cockpit view for Mr. Ghost Killer, who's been really excellent this entire race. He's told me about his race settings before this. Make sure he keeps all settings on off. Just a little bit of a weak, I think it's the brake assist that's a little bit weak. And then he's also got an issue with his brake pedal, I believe. I think he says his brake pedal only allows 90% braking strength, so hope I didn't give too much away there, but still manages to do an excellent drive with that braking deficit. Probably manages to get used to that driving strategy. With enough practice, can definitely make anything work. But yeah, man, manages to drive so smoothly with this Nissan. You'd almost say that there isn't any wheel spin on this car as we come out of corner 9, which is, corner number 9, which is something that most of the drivers found themselves struggling with. Now Salt Sheep still holding that second position, and no real fight for anyone else in the GR1 cars. That's something I do have to look into, what the strength of these GR1 cars is like between one another, because there's definitely at least a 1 minute gap between the Nissan and the Porsche at this stage. Obviously could be the driver's quality itself, but I do think a large portion of it has got to do with the strength of the car, so definitely something I'll look into as we see a Salt Sheep coming out of the first straight of lap number 25. There's only about 3 minutes left to go in the race, and he's quite comfortable in that position, but at this stage you still got to make sure you push those times though. We do know, just to recap a bit, that the format for this season is an elimination format, opposed to season number 3, where it was a sort of round robin. I believe that there's 50 teams that partook, or that was open for availability, and top, I believe there was, I could be wrong, I think there was about 16 or 7 teams in a pool. 6 teams in the pool, could be wrong. I think about the top half of the pool moves to the next stage, so it is possible for you to be eliminated in round number 1 for a pool or for a race. So you got to make sure you always push that times, because the total times for all the drivers in your team gets added together before they decide who gets promoted or relegated. So you got to always make sure that you push your times, but the cars tend to balance themselves out. And we take a look at the Nissans, for example. right at the end of the pack for the GR3s, but the Nissan GR1 will, as you can see, lead the race. And so the times do tend to balance one another out between the car strengths, but not taking any away from the quality of the drivers. There's definitely these guys pushing themselves to the limits to make sure their teams move on to the next stage. Now let's take a look at DC Gaming in his favorite corner number 9. This one decides to get right. I wonder if he's changed his strategy slightly. I wouldn't be surprised if he upped the TCS coming at the end of the corners. He did say he struggled with that corner number 9. Let's drive on board with DC and see what the view is like from the Mercedes in the GR1, because wind the corner, make sure he clips that apex properly out there. Definitely not using any TCS. You can see this car just squirming outside those corners. Still manages to do an excellent job controlling it. Taps that accelerator. I think DC might be one of the guys who's on the steering wheel. I could be wrong, but sharp into this one over here. A little bit of a lift there, and slightly gets on the accelerator. Probably a bit too hard than the Mercedes would like, but excellent recovery, as we've seen from the from the man all night. Early in this braking sector here for corner number 4, clips the apex there lightly and comes out in the inside again. Make sure he crunches that one with his double wind over here. Now you've got corner number 6 that you've got to make mincemeat of. Clip that apex in corner number 8. You just got to let the car coast a little bit over here. He decides to get a little bit too much into that as we come out of corner number 8, and really battling with the car at this stage, but he's quite a bit of the tire wheel for the car, and he slips a little bit over here. Oh, but he decides to go in it, and you can see the pits, so the lap times have really progressed, and excellent driving from Mr. Ghost Killer himself over here. Let's make our way slightly back to Savvy. He's still managed to hold into that 5th position, or you could say 1st position for the GR3 cars. Excellent driving from my mind, Savvy. Consistent times there. Even better than his earlier sectors after he's come out of the lap, and still got enough fuel to carry him to the end of the race. So excellent pit strategy from Savvy, and I'm sure the Porsche drivers will be ecstatic about their fellow racemen. I think they probably missing a teammate from the side. Might count a bit against them here, but Savvy takes 5th position. Ibn Noor now. Wow, excellent driving. Managed to find his way up into 6th position at the end of the race. Nice, not bad. Something must have happened to Myron. Could be a pit strategy. Something I'll have to ask the guys in the group. But excellent driving from Myron again. The season 3 man, we've gone missing. Now straight Junior at this point in time, slowly coming out, just to make sure we in the race. I think at this point the race is over and the positions has been decided, so yeah, not a bad way to finish the race. Hey, so there it is. That's season 4, race number 1 in Pool 7. First time I done a commentary last time, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it. It's flew by. Definitely not a bad one, not the best one either. But hopefully you guys find it as entertaining as I did, and so much more that we're going to have to talk about in season number 4. So thanks again guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'm going to be taking a nice little break and get myself warmed up for race number 2 for season 4. Cheers guys. Hope you guys had the best. All the best.